So I want to start off talking a little bit about your music and what it means to you and why you kind of gravitated towards making music in the first place.
So I grew up kind of in the San Francisco Bay Area DIY scene, and I just went to a lot of like punk shows there. I really just always have had a love for like DIY, and then obviously being from like the Bay Area, like it's a very queer-centric place. My parents are not queer and not like that, but they do have a really big interest in fashion. So my parents always just had like a ton of like, and not even like necessarily good fashion, like not high fashion. My mom never had like, you know, really nice clothes per se, but like I always had a costume closet from the time I was like 3 years old, and like my sister and I would always dress up, and you know, I love dressing up as a man and a prince, and like that was something that like really stuck with me. And like in finding drag, I thought it was so cool, but I just didn't think it was for me because, you know, I thought, oh, I'm a cis woman, like drag isn't for me, like I can be like a huge supporter, but I can't I can't participate until I came to realize, you know, not only can cis women participate, but I'm not a cis woman, you know, I'm a trans man, and that's something that like I've only found out for myself in the last year of my life, and it's part of the reason why I haven't really released music, because I kind of felt like I had to find a part of myself that I didn't understand myself before I was able to like show that to the world. That was really crazy for me because I released EPs and stuff on SoundCloud all through high school, but I'd never just put something out on all platforms. And I couldn't really explain why until I kind of came to terms with my gender. It was really cool to just kind of go back and read all my lyrics and understand what they were really about all of this time. And also just hear the agony and pain in my voice, and like, you know, when you're a kid and you just write love songs, but you don't know what love is, you don't know what heartbreak is. But for me, it was about the heartbreak that I was feeling within myself, and seeing myself leave and having to break up with myself and say goodbye to myself. So all of that love and heartbreak was real for me when I wrote that as a kid. You know, it just, I didn't understand why it felt so visceral.
I was wondering if you think, like, the fact that you do drag and the fact that you do music, do you think they feed off of one another and like give and take to one another?
Yeah, so? Absolutely. I mean, like drag is a performance through and through, and I'm a performer, and I always have been, like ever since I was a kid. I just love putting on a show. My sister and I sing Hannah Montana for my parents, but it's beyond that, you know. It's a realization that making myself into something that, you know, I don't directly look like, or someone can't look at me and be like, that's that person. Like, that's such a powerful thing to me, almost in the way that Daft Punk wears helmets and they can kind of just be anonymous. Like, I love that idea that I could get up on stage and people are just like, they're cool, and I don't know who or what or whatever that is, but I just like it, and that's all I really want, you know what I mean? For someone to not look at me as a woman or a man or anything, as an entity, and just kind of be like, this music is something that I enjoy, and that's where I want to follow with. The more I get to like explore with that, the more it feeds into my music, because I get to be super crazy in the drag scene, because it's seen as like super docile. People would just like pour hot sauce in their eyes, do whatever, you know. The queer scene is insane, you know. You see these drag queens like fully jumping off of freaking buildings and doing splits and stuff, and it's like, that's way more metal than anything, you know.
No, that's wild.
And that's what I think, you know. And I my band and I, like, we're all queer, all non-men, and we all are super creative and have fun doing this kind of thing. And so but I think what's most important to us is that like people see past that and the queercore aesthetic and really understand that we are talented musicians and we know what we're doing, and that we have different psych elements, post-punk elements, you know, even metal mixed into our music, that, you know, there's a lot of stuff that obviously isn't released that I'm going to be showing at the show, so I'm excited to be displaying some other sides of me, because I feel that I'm very eclectic as an artist, as I think my 2 singles already show.
You're kind of talking about this image of like the crowd seeing you perform and seeing this like spectacle of what is like your live show and kind of just being like, oh man, like what is this? Like I don't know how to define this. And I was curious if that kind of pertains to the name of your live band as well, like the local Enigma.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when we try to sit down and describe ourselves, we're like, what are we really to this town, you know? We're kind of an enigma. But maybe that doesn't have to be a bad thing. And I think that queer people find a lot of words that they can refine the power of and realize that they don't have to be a bad thing, which is kind of even what gay was to me, like growing up just in high school, like realizing that if someone was like, that's gay, you know, obviously that's a really basic thing, but it was super prominent in my high school, you know, and I feel like a lot of people's, and to realize that that wasn't bad, but like kind of a fun thing, kind of funny, like, all right, I'm gay, fine, you know? Then what else am I? Am I an enigma? Am I, and then a line that I have in Don't Piss on My Leg is, you know, I'm not organically friendly. And one time a girl told me that I had chaotic energy. And that's what's in my song. And I never really understood. I'm like, what does that even mean? I have chaotic energy because I like to dress up, because I like to be weird and be myself. Sorry.
Yeah. Is that kind of what Don't Piss on My Leg is about, or is there...
Oh, it's absolutely what Don't Piss on My Leg is about. Well,
okay.
I wrote it actually with a producer friend of mine, Spoon.
I actually know Spoon.
Oh, yeah?
I went to Berkeley 5 Week with him. It's been a while.
No
but,
way. Yeah. So Spoon actually uses he, they pronouns now, and they're also non-binary. And so we kind of both wrote that about the experience that we both kind of had of people just like perceiving us when we didn't want that at all, and also just trying to tell us how to feel as non-binary people. Like cis people are just always constantly trying to tell trans people how to feel, and sometimes we just have to scream about it, and that's something that like Spoon and I really just like. There's so many takes of me just in his closet in New York, just like screaming my ass off. We had his neighbors like banging from upstairs, like, shut up, because we're like in New York, like, and they hate us. But it was such a powerful moment for us. And like, I'm pretty sure I cried a few times because it's just like, I don't know. And I've also been friends with Spoon for like 5 years. So we've just kind of grown to see each other like come into who we are. And it was really cool that was like the first song we ever put out together.
You want to talk a little bit about the other single too, Under the Dolls?
Under Your Dolls.
Under Your Dolls. Because that definitely has a different sound from Don't Piss on My Leg.
Okay, this is actually my like tattoo. This was drawn by me, digitized by my friend Chloe Berry, and tattooed by my friend Reggie Pearl. And this is just has a lot of significance to me. It's the doll from Under Your Dolls, and it was just up on the mantle of the friend that the song is about. And basically that song is just about a really difficult time in my life. To be honest, I was going through sexual assault, right? But I lost every single friend I had because I just was so inwardly turned, and I thought that it was my fault, and that I was just being a horrible friend, and that it was, you know, on me to have reached out to these people, when in reality, no one knew what was going on except for me. There was a lot of really painful stuff that came with that, obviously. Obviously, I was also figuring out my gender and my sexuality, and so at the same time, you know, that fed into it, and I just closed off, and I lost the best friend I ever had. And that's what that song's about. And I still like cry to it, and every single time I sing it, I like hear the agony in my own voice. It's like,
is it hard to perform?
Well, at this point, I love to perform it because it's like my first song. Oh. Well, yeah, but it's also my first song on Spotify, so people kind of know it now, and it's like really like when I hear everyone go, yap da 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 da, Viva Las Vegas, like it literally makes me so happy because I've always just like had that dream in my mind that like people would at least like enjoy what I was doing, and I had always been told like in other bands that I write too literally and that I don't use enough like metaphors and stuff like that, and that, you know, I've been told in other bands that my wording is a little too direct in the past, and I've come to find that sometimes you just need to say what you want to say. I've never been in a band with non-cis het men. literally, like, ever. And so it was such a crazy difference when I started working with my bandmates, and they actually would stop and support me and build me up. And if I was upset, they would be like, that's okay, let's move on, and not make me feel horrible about it, you know? And it's just such a, like, you know, and it's no diss to my old bands. It's just the kind of thing where you really have to understand someone on a certain level. And I truly feel that men will do acid once, learn empathy, and then write an entire metal album about it. And I think that is really frustrating, because I've always felt that, you know, I will scream about something, and yeah, maybe it's too literal. Maybe I am literally saying fuck you and in the song, and maybe that's how I feel. And if no one's ever gonna hear that, like, otherwise, then I have to do it through this method.
Sick.
Let's make it simple. I would not be alive if I wasn't able to get up on stage and scream. Like, you know, it's just such a core feeling for me. It's such a raw emotion, and just something that I require in my life so badly. I dropped out of Berkeley 2 years ago, and that was really just what I needed for my mental health. I was not getting on stage as much as I wanted to, and now I'm releasing more music. You know, my creativity isn't stifled. I'm playing so many shows, and I'm genuinely happy, you know. I never came out when I was at Berkeley either. My bandmates I met through skate parks, house shows, you know. I did not meet them through Berkeley, and that was so essential to me, because, like, it's way more important that you just find people that you want to spend time with and that love and accept you. Like, I never really understood that. I just thought that my musical style had to correlate with everyone that I was in a band with, which is really not the case. What's happened is that I'm able to bring my really not super fleshed out songs to my band, and they all have such like amazing and creative ideas, and I seriously can't say enough about them. Like, I wish they could have all been here with me today, because, like, I mean, it would have been a little chaotic, but they would have had they would have had so much to say, and they're awesome, and they're all such funny people, and it's just, you know, I think that we just, like, I genuinely have the most fun on stage with them than, like, I ever have in my entire life. And, like, I don't know, it's just such a blessing right now that, like, I can just be doing that in basements in Alston, and I don't have to be, like, I don't know, exposing myself while I'm still figuring out who I am, if that makes sense.
Do you think, like, the Alston, like, DIY scene tends to be a safe space?
So I would say that when I mean, I'm not going to say that any DIY space is necessarily a safe space, because you really never know. But I would say that when I first started out in this DIY space, I was playing in a metal band. It was called Cosmic Sunday, and I was fronting it. And yeah, I was playing with a lot of the metal dudes around Berkeley and around Alston in there. And I just, you know, besides just the obvious misogyny, like, I would say that I rarely ever saw non-men headlining or, you know, getting their own shows. I don't think I once saw an all non-man bill going up, which is what I just did on Friday with Alana, Morgan, and Chrysalis. We just did a no-man bill. And I just think, like, sometimes that's so important, because I was literally going out to these metal shows and not seeing anyone that, like, looked like me, like, doing it, like, not just, you know, non-man, but queer, or just, like, you know, I don't know, I just felt like I was too weird, and I had to fit this specific mold for people to respect me within that space, which is so stupid, because we could be way more interesting and have way more fun in our own. And, you know, people like that won't pay us any mind, but maybe that's okay, and we'll find people that will. People to just go and meet other people. I don't know what I would be doing in my life right now without other queer peers, like, around me. It's, yeah.
That's great. Thanks. Shout out anything you're working on that you want to talk about, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm recording an EP right now with my band, the local Enigma, so I'm hoping to get that out by summer, and yeah, I have Leah Gottman producing that, and they just did Sweet Petunia's new EP, so cool. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, Hug the Tree, Roots Project on March 5th. Skylar is going to be playing with their wonderful enigmatic band.
Oh, thank
I hope.
you.
I mean, I know it'll probably be a spectacle and something to behold.
I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Skylar.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome.
I wasn't sure.
All right, cool. That's it.